Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
Hi there. That's right, I'm Bob Hickey, your host, back from another week of Foxborough Central. So glad you took the time to join us. Sit on back and let's talk about some of the wonderful people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough the gem of Norfolk County. I'm joined today by my newest good friend, James Callahan. Mr. Callahan, how are you doing? I should call you Mr. Callahan because...
No, well, that's okay. You can call me Jim if you want, but Mr. Callahan is a formal way in school.
For those of you watching at home who are under the age of 19, Mr. Callahan is a social studies teacher up at Foxborough High School. Yeah. And why are you here with us today? It's because we're going to talk video.
That's right. We're trying to start a new video program, if you will, at the high school.
Not a club?
Not a club. Not yet.
A whole program?
A whole program, yes. We instituted it, put it into the curriculum, and we're trying to start basically an introduction class to communication arts, and also continue that with a video production lab class as well.
Now, an introduction to video arts is a full accredited class, and it's part of the curriculum. And you have student interest in this?
Yes, I do. We've had our first sign-ups, and we've got we got both classes full for they're both semester classes. So in the fall we'll have the intro course. We got about 15 kids for that. And the second class, Video Production Lab, has about 25.
Wow.
So we're up to about 40 students, and it's a good start. I'm glad they signed up, so thanks for doing that.
Well, you know, and this is for the upcoming 2013-2014 school year.
Exactly.
And it seems as though it would be the natural progression because for those of you at home who may or may not remember, Foxborough High School used to have a video club, and in fact there was a very robust program up there, and the coordinator was Miss Paula
Pedrosi.
Yes.
I got that name right, I think so. But she left when I came up to the high school. I was at the middle school for 12 years, and then I came up to the high school.
And as with everything else, things cycle through, and the interest waned, and so it's been dormant for the last 6 or 7 years.
Correct. And I saw the need for it, and I was inspired by a student, or two students, who put together a production about the high school for the NEAS committee, which came to investigate the school and kind of give us legitimacy.
NEAS?
NEAS, New England Association of Schools and Colleges.
Okay.
And every 10 years we go through this process of being certified and legitimate in the eyes of the public schools. So that went well, but the crux of it is that there was a presentation given by two students who created a video about what Foxborough High School is all about. And I said to myself, after I saw it, which is a great production, by the way, so kudos to, I think it was Cooper Vacheron and John Mitchell, I believe, were involved in that with some help here from Mike Weber. I said to myself, well, we should have a class for this. I mean, I think there's a need. I think there's I think there's an audience for it as well, in which kids get to learn about how to make something like this. You know?
Well, both Cooper and Johnny are great kids, and real folks probably don't even realize it, but when there's a meeting in the auditorium, the man behind the keyboard, the sound system is usually, is John Mitchell. And in addition to that, Mike Weber, who's our executive director, who supported him on that.
That's right.
He was a student of one of the earlier iterations of the video club, and in fact, he now is our executive director. And shameless plug for our own organization, one of the best executive directors any organization could hope to have. And you in Foxborough, I hope you realize and recognize that with the social media presence, with the robust programming on all 3 channels, and the fact that he lets me be here and do this for you. We also, with moving into our new studios, Michael's just one of those gems that people sometimes take for granted, but really shouldn't. And you never know where you're going to be able to reach out and touch one and create that. And so it's great that you're taking this initiative and making this program come back to life.
Yeah, and just kudos to Mike again for helping me out to try to advance this program along. Because I came back, I was here in June, end of school year last year, and said, can I give you have a minute? I'd like to talk to you about what I like to do. And he says, okay, and he said, I'd love to help you. And I said, great. So he gave me some information about what we would need and what we have, what we need, and what we can get. And from there, basically tried to go forward with the program and talk to some administrators at the high school and get their approval. And ever since then, myself, Mike, and the technology department has been involved in setting this up.
Wow. And it does seem as though now is the right time, the time to strike, if you will, because at the middle school, at the Ahern, the ABC, the Ahern Broadcasting Club, and we've done a program earlier on them as well, and they've been doing such wonderful work. And part of that is because when the schools remodeled, they had the infrastructure put in where it lent itself to a morning video announcement. And so by doing that, Foxborough Cable Access also supported. And let's be clear, this teacher here is taking the initiative and making it happen. You went and worked through 2 administrations now to get permission to get it included and create a curriculum. And you also had to get funding.
Yes.
And you did that through the
FHS grant, which is a system-wide grant program which allows teachers to say, I have an idea, here's my proposal, and hopefully get some funding for it. And that's what happened. And this past January, we got approved for setting up a studio, getting some equipment, updated equipment, iMac editing computers, some cameras to work with, and as well as some software, Final Cut Pro X. I think I have that right. Maybe I got it wrong, but
you would know better than I.
It's the software used for the computers that for the iMacs themselves.
Well, that's why I sit in front of the camera, because I don't know any of that other stuff.
So, but as far as jumping into the middle school, I'll help them that out and continue the program. Since Mr. Williams done a great job there at the middle school, we want to continue that idea so the kids come up to the high school from the middle school, and we have something for them to take and continue their interest in that field.
Well, with the program we did it on remote at their location in their studio, and some of the 8th graders in particular who are coming up to the high school just seemed so energetic and so, I'll even say professional. They knew what was going on, and they were gearing up that production for the TV. And to see that, you would hate to see that just go away. And so it's so wonderful that you're doing this now, particularly with the changes in the industry, moving to high def. You say with the iMac editing equipment, there's so much more, and there's always been just this fascination for myself with media and what you can do with a television program, and now you're able to bring that to the student level and have that grow. So.
Exactly. So again, just try and give another opportunity for students to have an interest in this, to get started and see what it's all about. The intro class would just basically look at the different elements of production between the camera person, the control people, the director, lights, camera, action, all of it. So know what the roles are. And from there, the second semester will be video production, in which they take what they learned and try to apply it to actually creating their own shows, creating their own commercials, maybe some independent filmmaking if they want to do something like that and get into that. So we have a canvas that's pretty wide open, if you will, and we want the kids to kind of create what they think is what's on their minds, And I think it'll be a good program for kids.
So then maybe starting in the spring of 2014, we'll start having some content here for the cable channels for Foxborough as a whole.
Well, that would be nice. And ultimately, one of the goals I have for the program is to have a weekly TV show, if you will, about what's going on at Foxborough High School. So the kids actually run the show themselves. They kind of, get some ideas of what's going on, whether it's covering games, whether it's covering concerts, whether it's covering, meetings that are going on in the school, just to make the community and the school more aware of what's going on.
Well, that'd be really sharp. And that's the whole point of the cable channels with JPEG Access, is for the community to be able to share what's going on and what our thoughts are, what our opinions are, and really the events that are going on that can only help to promote those events, but also the program as a whole. So what a great dynamic you're creating out there.
So again, connecting community with school, but also with the cable station here as well, and kind of working with them. And I really think it's a positive relationship in all ways. Not much negative can come out of this, I don't think. So that's for sure.
It's one of the nice things about community television is there's not a lot negative. It's a great skill. It's a fun activity. I love doing these programs, and I really hope that you find that there's a good vibe that comes from it. So you don't do just video instruction up at the high school. What is your true?
My true vocation, if you will, is teaching history.
Okay.
U.S. history in particular right now for mostly 11th grade, and I have an AP government class as well. I've been teaching and do some electives, economics, contemporary issues. So I have varied interests, if you will, under the social studies rubric.
Okay.
However, when I first started teaching back in Boston public schools, my first job as a substitute teacher, or long-term, if you will, was to cover a communication arts class. And back then, 20 years ago, equipment was quite different than it is today. However, I really enjoy, but what I enjoyed about is instead of being the instructor in front of the room and teaching dates and names, this is about them creating ideas. You give them a platform to work with, but you're the guide on the side. You're the one who's saying, okay, let's go this way, let's try this, if they have any questions. And I really think, whether it's through music or whether it's through writing, when you develop your own piece, if you will, whether it's in art or in video production, you're really getting something out of yourself, and I think it really helps the kids feel better about themselves as well as show what they can do to the community.
So this is one of your first loves as far as teaching goes, and now you're in a position to where you can bring that back and start creating again. That's great.
Yeah.
That's what keeps us all going in our careers, is having something that we can feel good about doing. And this is certainly a good opportunity, not only for the kids who have succeeded with the ABC at the Ahern, but also for new folks who are maybe getting introduced for the first time. Is there a prerequisite that people have to be able to type 60 words a minute, or have a,
no. If you have
a certification from their dentist that their smile is pure?
No, we'll take anyone who's interested in it at this point in time. Later on, there might be some prerequisites as far as taking the intro class first before you go to the next step. That will be required. But since next year is kind of our first year doing it, we're just going intro, video production 1, and then if you want independent study, maybe in the future.
Great. So this isn't a club. This is an actual course.
No, of course. But the good thing about it could create a club in the sense of after school, if kids need to work on a project or something like that, that lab will be there, for them to work with, and that's a big part. Because video production is not just for a class per se, but whether you're in foreign language, whether you're in science, whether you're in math, whether you're in English, social studies, apparently, obviously, you can get a lot of work done that way. Kids can show understanding by using, the process of video production. And so I think that'll be a good sell as well, if you will, to the students. Like, okay, well, after school, we also have this opportunity to use this equipment as long as you're trained and someone's there to understand, show them to understand how it works. In that sense, maybe we get more people interested as well. If they're doing something on the side for a class project, well, why not take the course as well? So. Well,
successful programs and successful opportunities usually do generate recruitment.
Yeah, exactly. I find my ways of doing that.
Hey, it looks great. I want to become a part of that. I want to become involved. So there you go. The FACES is giving a grant, but there's got to be infrastructure up at the high school.
Yes.
So is this just a single camera stuck in the corner, or is there, what kind of facility do we have?
Well, fortunately, we have some leftover space from, as I said previously, from 6 years ago. And now we're just going to try to update the space and update the equipment in that space. So, for example, we have some old TV cameras and some, I'm not sure, again, we have to talk with Mike Weber and communicating with the technology department, specifically Paul Bortolotti, trying to set up the space to work with. So first we have the TV studio, similar to what, well, not as beautiful as this place, but that's very similar to it. A control room where the kids can sit there and try to, play out the various roles that they have, whether it's a director, whether it's a camera person. And then, of course, the computer lab itself, which is all right next door. This is all on the second floor of the media center. Again, we're just trying to work with the guidance department because they have a room that they work with too, but I think because I have one class, I think we're going to work that out. Space issues, no problem. But the idea is
you can share without too many.
Exactly, and plus kids will have cameras to go out on their own and in school obviously, but creating their own product, if you will, while we're working in the studio as well. So there's a lot of moving pieces here, but essentially 3 parts to it: the control room, the TV studio, and the editing, if you will, video production lab, if you will. So with all that going on, I think for me, it was just making sure that things are run tightly and smoothly as well, and the kids are getting something out of it.
Well, it's exciting because, again, what I consider to be a fun program or an interesting program or an informative program can be completely different than what you would consider to be one of those 3. And then you bring in the students with their ideas, their fresh perspective, if you will. Sometimes magic can be created where you least expect it, and so by having the resources, and much credit to Larry and Judy Harrington for their vision many years ago for creating the FACES, and that has become such a key piece of the educational process here in Foxborough, as far as funding being able to be available, and their grants applied for by the teachers and by the instructors and by the clubs. and it creates also a standard. You know, it's not just free money laying there.
Right.
It's treated as a grant opportunity. And so what did you have to go through?
Basically, it's my first time I've actually written a grant, so I'm 1 for 1, I guess, so far.
Not many people can say that, so congratulations.
But yeah, I guess the process is simply, you know, looking at the grant. There's 3 parts to it, basically: a budget, you know, a proposal, what you want to accomplish, the goals, and then you know, making sure you make those connections with the community, how that's going to work, how it's going to help the school community, and maybe the community as a whole. And with that in mind, I just sat down last October, wrote it out, got it in there, and crossed my fingers and hope it would work. And lo and behold, it did. There is a follow-up, so make sure that things are working well and that the equipment is being used correctly, or at least being used and benefiting the students that we're having. So I will be coming back to the school committee, I think, next fall sometime, or in the future, and kind of giving my update on how it's worked.
Well, it's a great quasi-private funding resource, and to that end, you also had to do the work. You don't just say, I've got a great idea for a new class, and it becomes an accredited class. Tell me just briefly, how did that process go? I mean, it's a big difference between having a video club meet after school and put some content on the air, and having a semester-long accredited course that counts towards graduation.
Well, I think this goes back to the idea of 21st century learning. What does that mean? And having a viable comm arts curriculum is kind of what it is. I mean, we all know that we're kind of a visual society these days, and so therefore this is part of it. With social media, we're becoming more and more. Exactly. And in fact, many people at home are probably watching this on our website at www.fcatv.org and not watching it on the channel. That's right, exactly. So I mean, this kind of fits the bill there, and the idea of, well, I'll be honest, when I was looking at ideas, like, what do? You go see what other schools are doing. So I got some ideas of what the curriculum was about, adapted to what we want to do here, talking to the administration, and try to apply those ideas and go forward with it.
So this isn't a made-up program. This is a proven curriculum that's in place, and what you've done is you've taken it, modified it a bit. So as a teacher, what are some of the objectives at the end of the semester? I'm your student. I'm a little old to be your student, but I'm your student. I'll shave, it'll be good. What will I have taken away, and what will I as a parent say, wow, my kid really benefited from being in Mr. Callahan's class because he or she can now do what? What do I do to get an A?
Okay. Well, maybe not so obviously. You have to be able to get in there, want to learn, and not be saying, well, I just want to be a camera person.
Right.
No, you got to learn all the aspects of it. So if you're truly going to know,
so it's not a club; it's really education.
Exactly. So you're going to rotate different positions, different places that you're going to be in the production process. Also, I hope they obviously they understand the technology that they're working with.
The technology changes.
I know.
So quickly.
They're going to be teaching me a little bit too, because I'm kind of getting used to it myself. I have some idea what to do with what it's all about, but I'm sure students who have been working with this, which I know I have some already, because they're excited about joining this.
Cooper and Johnny being a great example.
We know all about this, Mr. Callahan. I said, good. You'll be my, guides on the side as well to help us get through this.
And then I interrupted. Sticking with the technology for a second. How great is it that the Face is Great is able to get you access to today's technology?
I know. We're not working with things from 10 or 15 or even 20 years ago.
Right.
It's going to be top of the line stuff, and very excited about that.
A big piece of what we do here at Cable Access is also for our volunteers, ensuring that we are, I'll say cutting edge, whatever that means. But Mike Weber, our executive director, who is a past participant in an earlier iteration, I keep going back to, you never know who you're going to reach and touch.
That's right.
A big reason for our success here at Cable Access is because Mike Weber does introduce us and does push us as a board. I serve on the board of directors, but he does push us to ensure that we have what is necessary for tomorrow's production work. So, talking about the technology, this is a key piece as to why these kids are going to benefit from this curriculum. Yeah,
and with that in mind, it's well, again, I think putting it all together and having the kids understand what they're using and how they're going to create pieces that they have for themselves, and understand going back to your original question, I guess, was knowing what the roles in production are, knowing the equipment we're working with and understanding it, and then finally being able to work together. That's a big piece here. We don't think about that, but most people have to, we can't do this by ourselves.
We're not all going to be the director.
Exactly. There's someone over there. There's someone over here. There's someone behind the scenes. So they have to understand working together. If it doesn't mesh, it's not going to work together. So timing is a very important thing. It's like working. I like the analogy of music. We have a great band program, right? Well, they work together. They work hard. But if one person's just on their own and doing their own thing, it's not going to work. So again, coming together as a team, that's a very important part of this process too. So.
Well, that's what makes this production successful, because I've got a great director today, Lauren Bitar, who's behind the glass, and Bob Lomas and Betty Travers are my volunteers who, along with me, we try to bring this news forward to the town. So with the classes coming to play, and the first one is the intro, and the second one is the production class.
Yeah.
Just so much opportunity.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned earlier about creating a weekly program.
Yeah.
How cool that would be for the town to be able to see a production from our own students on a weekly basis.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is probably been year 2 or year 3, depending on how we can translate that information. In other words, we have no TVs really in our schools as far as for classes and even in the hallways to kind of give announcements or show what's going on. So hopefully in the future we'll get some screens, whether they're in the cafeterias or at lunchtime. Okay, here's a 10-minute or 5-minute news show. See what's going on in Foxborough once a week or something like that. But also communication as far as what's going on in our school, just daily announcements, things like that we can scroll up on the screen for the kids. As soon as they're coming to school, they know what's going on that day. So
and you see it in a lot of the newer, also you see it at the Hearn with with the renovation they did.
Yes.
It was a key piece of that renovation that all the classrooms were retrofitted with video monitors.
Exactly. So every day they're kind of watching, they understand what's going on. That daily 2 comes on and they're ready to go.
That's right.
So it helps also with less interruptions in the classroom, the classroom day, if you will, or class day. Because if there's announcements every period telling what's going on, well, we should kind of hopefully have seen the news already. But I don't know if that'll prevent that or how that's going to work. But at the same time, it's another avenue, if you will, for communication, to improve communication in our school. And again, if some kids get into this and they say, well, what's my next step? I want to go on to college? Great. Or I want to work with the local Foxborough Cable Access Station? Great. So,
but it is a great skill to have. So that way it opens up the opportunity.
Yeah.
And not everybody that goes in obviously is going to go to work for Fox 25.
Exactly.
But who knows if that person does go to work for Fox 25.
Exactly. I know Boston University's got a good program. Syracuse, I'm from upstate New York. Emerson, sorry about that. Emerson as well, of course. All these great colleges around here that have these programs, well, kids not going to apply there if they don't have any experience in high schools. We must be less likely to do so. So I'm hoping to inspire kids to do that as well.
Well, as inspiration or to pique their interest and get them to say, hey, this is fun, something I'm good at, something that I could make money at, and something that, if I go into college and become really good at, I could be successful. So it's all about exposure. And you're taking the first step by offering the course.
I truly believe students learn in different ways. I mean, there are those who knows how to read and write and find and regurgitate information that way. But there are others who are stronger in communication. They'll get up and speak, and they'll debate, and they'll discuss, and they got great voice, and they have great presence, if you will. And those who kind of have a good eye for what's around them, the visual kind of spatial intelligence that's out there that helps kids understand anything from geography to video production, I'm hoping. So making that connection between social studies and communication arts, so that I really think it's a positive thing that can happen here. So,
and I have to say that, much credit to you as well as to the administration at the high school for taking I won't say the risk, but for taking the initiative of creating this, because I know in this day of MCAS-driven education programs, it's tough to do something that's not directly MCAS-oriented.
Right.
Because nowhere in the MCAS is there a
box for.
I can tell you how much pixelation needs to go into. There's not a box for that.
No, there is not. So again, this provides that avenue for learning in a different way, and again, it goes against the standardized testing. But at the same time, what I'm hearing, and again, this is all national standards coming out, that there is this idea of, well, they have to have some technology piece to graduate. Maybe it's in the future. Don't quote me on that, but at the same time.
But that makes sense.
It does.
It makes sense. And I was going to say, my next question was I've got tons of questions, but my next question is going to be, what is the vision for the future? Where do you see this program, and how does it integrate into the future? And you say the technology, and that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
My job, I'm on the computer all day long.
Right.
And the technology always changes and changes and changes. I'm still going to classes in my profession.
Right.
How do these kids not have that as part of their core piece? And so good for you for getting this started.
I think exactly. I think what they're calling it the core curriculum, and I think this is a part of it. You know, whether it's art in the sense of the fine arts and creating your own paintings and sculptures, or whether it's in the music department, which is creating art there. This will again provide another opportunity for kids to hit that technology piece, if you will.
Now it's interesting that you're with the social studies program, because I know that for a while the video club, I think that's what it's called, video club, or video program, was under the arts department, and and then the arts department itself, under Mr. Roy, had their own IMAX and all the editing equipment. Right.
There's still class in that. Yes.
Right. So there is that technology piece there.
Yes.
But this is different than that. This is about production and video, core video understanding behind the scenes, in front of the scenes.
Yes. Because that was the decision to make. Is like, oh, what do we do with this class? Where do we put it? Do we put it with social studies? Well, not really. Do we put it with the art department? Well, we're getting to broadcasting, which is not really art. I mean, no offense to there, but the idea is it's not part of the fine arts.
Well, that's what I was saying. Where does this fit?
So it's now under the auspices of the technology department, which is where they put this class.
And that's a pretty good fit, I would think.
Exactly.
Sure, because then you're able to take advantage of all the other, for folks who have time and have a computer, you can go to YouTube and just look at all the really sharp productions that kids are making. I'm not talking about doing the Manhattan. What's that Manhattan? I don't even know what it is. Harlem Shake. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about some of the beautiful photography and movie creativity. And then the attention to detail on the technology side. That's in Cooper is a great example that he did a video once that I still am amazed at when I watch it. So if anybody has time and you want to do that, it's well worth your time to see what some of the talented kids are doing these days.
I mean, there's even a new class in sound technology, in audio technology. And if we could combine the two together, say, okay, we have, here's a song. Kids might, for example, in the music audio class, they might be writing their own song and composing a song.
And then, of course, to get it on the air, it's got to be done right.
Exactly. So let's put a video to it. So what's your idea? So one student has their own vision, and the kid with the camera has another idea. Have them work together, create the piece, and I think it's kind of the way it is in the world, So again, I think we could go a lot of different directions here, and I'm just trying to start very simply and go forward, and hopefully expand into different areas as we go forward.
Well, Mr. Callahan, you've obviously done a great job taking the first step of getting the funding and getting a course approved. And now the next step is for the 2 courses up at the high school, and we at home are going to look forward to seeing some great content, possibly around the summer of 2014 from the fruits of your work. So
appreciate that.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come out. Our half hour has already flown by. Can you believe it?
That's great.
If you'd like more information on this, in addition to watching replays on the cable channels, you can log in to www.fcatv.org. Check out this or any of the other great programs we have from Foxborough Central. Our library grows all because of people like you sending us ideas. If you or your organization would like to be featured on a future episode, contact us at Foxborough Cable Access at 508-543-4757. Talk to our Executive Director, Mike Weber, and he'll put you in the right direction. I'm Bob Hickey, your host. Thank you so much to all the volunteers of Foxborough Cable Access who put this show together, including Lauren Bitar, Betty Travers, Bob Lomas, and Michael Weber, our Executive Director, who edits this and makes it look good for you at home. I'm Bob Hickey, your host. I hope to see you back again sometime with another cup of coffee for another episode of Foxborough Central. Take care, Foxborough.